Okay, so now we're going to talk about phase shift and vertical shift. So we have our two forms for sine and cosine. That's what we were working with before. And then you'll notice a different form underneath here. Sometimes it's more helpful to have it in that form, and it has to do with the phase shift. Okay, so I'm going to give you an example. Let's say we have y equals sine, and I'm going to make this x minus pi over 4. We'll just make it like that. So I'm going to say right here that c over b, that is the phase shift, c over b. Okay? Now you could figure it out from up here by taking c and dividing it by b, or you can use the other form and then it's written there for you. In my example, I'm having b be 1, and so my c over b is just pi over 4. Okay? So this is just an example. I was going to show you what a phase shift is. So think about a normal sine curve, 2 pi, cut it in half, pi, cut it in half, cut it in half. Okay, and then you're up here at 1 and down here at -1. So draw the points in, just to give you a little bit of a guide. Okay, so normal sine curve looking like that. Now what we're going to do is we're going to apply the phase shift. Now remember, these keep going, you know, the curve keeps going, right? Not like that, but, you know, something like that. And it goes in the other direction as well. So compared to some of the other graphing we've done, when we've done a horizontal shift, like we had a parabola, you could see the horizontal shift. But see, this is a periodic function, so it's going to just keep going. But what's going to happen is it's going to shift pi over 4. Okay, so I'm going to draw this in. Pi over 4 would be right here. So I'm taking my point that used to be at 0, 0, and I'm shifting it over pi over 4. And then the point that used to be at 1 is shifting over pi over 4. And the point that pi is shifting over a pi over 4. And then the point that used to be at 3 pi over 2 is going to shift over here. And then the point at 2 pi would shift over pi over 4, which is going to be about there. Okay? So now my curve is going like this. It's still the same shape. It's just the whole curve, you know, think of it like a slinky, is shifting. And it would keep going that. It's like starting in a different place. It's not starting at 0, 0 now. My curve is starting, well, it's not really starting, but my first point that I drew was at pi over 4, 0. But see, it also goes back this way, right? So, you know, the curve continues in both directions, but the curve is shifting. It's called the phase shift. It's shifting. In this case, it's shifting to the right, pi over 4. Okay? To find the phase shift, you take C and divide it by B. Okay. Now we're going to look at a vertical shift. Vertical shift, that's based on D. Okay? So that kind of works like in the past when we've done transformations. It's just going to pick up the curve and shift it either up or down. Okay? So let's say we had a sine curve. 2 pi, pi, pi over 2, 3 pi over 2. And then our normal curve, and I'm just using sine. It's not that I don't like cosine. I'm just sticking with the same curve. And remember, that continues, you know, in both directions. That pattern continues. It's like a wave. Okay. Now, if I had y, oops, let me do that. Different color. If I had y equals sine x plus 2, well then I would just take the whole curve and shift it up 2. So I'd start here, whoops, nope, I'd start here ignore that other dot I drew. Not that one. Okay. And then my point at 1 would go up to 3. I kind of lost my y-axis there. It's going to be about there. And then the point that used to be at the x-axis is now going to go up 2. And then the point that used to be at -1 right there, that's going to go up to 1 now, right? Because it shifted up 2. And then the point at 2 pi is going to go up there. So my curve is going to be like up here. And it's going, it's following in that pattern still. Well, that didn't draw any better. Now think about the midline. We talked about the midline before, but we didn't do too much with it. The midline would be right here. So that would be your midline. Y equals 2. Okay? All right. That would be a vertical shift. And of course, it could shift down. I just did one that shifted up. All right.